right, good morning, guys. We are going to start today lying on our backs with our soles of our feet together and knees wide, but I'd like to create a little back bend with a blanket. You could use a small pillow if you'd like, but a blanket folded kind of rectangle style, something I would like the shoulders to be able to fall off the blanket, so a little bit narrower than your shoulders, and I don't want the blanket to go much lower than mid-back. I want there to be a little space here at the lower back. So we want the head definitely on the blanket, shoulders off, mid-back on, lower back off. So go ahead and set up your blanket, your support. You can use a pillow, maybe if you have a rectangle shaped pillow or a pillow on kind of a diamond shape, that might work as well. And then go ahead and lay back. Again, head supported, shoulders off, mid-back supported, lower back off. And we're going to bring the soles of the feet to touch and let the knees fall wide. Now, since we'll be here for a couple of minutes, you may want to grab some blocks or any support you use for underneath those knees. And then when you're ready, just let yourself settle into this shape. Shape is very open across the chest, across the hips. The whole front body is pretty open here. Even if you want to have elbows bent and fingertips on your belly, that's perfectly fine. Or arms can be down by your sides, palms up. Make sure you take enough support that it doesn't feel like a strain. We'll be here for a couple minutes. So if already it feels like a lot of tension, take a little more support. And it's light support, so I don't want you to kind of end up with a little dent in your skin or anything. It's just lightly touching. So there's room to sort of grow in this pose. And as the pose evolves, if you want to wiggle those blocks a little further out or further in, feel free to do so. Really, sort of the magic of this pose comes from the exhale. The letting go. So focus in on the sound of the breath initially. Inhaling and exhaling. Full, complete breaths. Each exhale is just sort of an opportunity to let go a little bit more. Each inhale is an opportunity to create some space in your body. As though you were blowing up a balloon with that inhale, expanding and exhaling, releasing. And getting deeper and deeper. Not just into those hips, but maybe releasing through the shoulders deeper. Softening through the jaw. Wherever you may be holding tension, the hips are just sort of the most obvious. Yesterday, I spent a lot of time in the car, noticing my shoulders are really hesitant to relax and soften down towards the floor. I don't want to force them. I don't want to push them. I want to work with those exhales to let go. Remember today, one of the things I'd love us to work on while we're here on the mat is our perception of our body, our perception of this practice. Coming at it from sort of a neutral observer's stance. Watching our tendency to label things as good or bad. I'm doing good or bad at this practice. The sequencing is good or bad. What if it just is? And accepting it just at face value. So maybe even right here, right now, you're finding points of tension or a lack of tension, and you're judging that. Let's try and withhold judgment for right now. Judgment is human nature, so that's not going to come supernatural. We'll take about 3 or 4 more breaths here. Breathing in and breathing out. Another opportunity to let go. And then when you're ready, go ahead and start to bring those knees up towards the ceiling. If you were using blocks, go ahead and set them off to the side. Roll to either your right or left side and remove that support from under the spine. Set that off to the side. You may choose to use that later. Come back down onto the back body. Knees bent. Heels are in line with the center of the hips. And go ahead and just rest your fingers lightly on your belly. Next inhale, go ahead and press that belly button up towards the ceiling. So you'll exaggerate that lumbar curve. The hips stay down on the floor. So you'll feel yourself maybe rolling more from the top of the pelvis down towards the tailbone as you press that belly button up. press your belly button down into the floor, flattening out the lower back, sort of rolling on those hips again from tailbone more to your sacrum. Inhale, press the belly button back up again. Exhale, press the belly button back down. Inhale, belly button back up. Exhale, back down. Keep going, just 2 or 3 more breaths here. Find your own pace, your own range of motion. And then when you're all done with that, we'll just continue to work on resetting that lower back from the prolonged back bend by opening the arms to a T or goalpost. You can even grab opposite elbows up overhead and just rock the knees from side to side. This does not have to be fast. It does not have to be forceful. Just do what feels good to you. Next time those knees fall over to the right, pause, stay there. Your feet can be stacked if you'd rather, or you can leave the feet staggered down on the floor. And maybe pick up the head and turn the face to the left. You can feel this anywhere from the left side of the body, a twist through the lower back, or maybe you even feel it along the outside edge of that left leg. And bring the knees all the way back up and let the knees fall to the left. And pick up the head and turn the face to the right. Again, you can leave the feet stacked or leave the feet staggered, or go ahead and stack the feet. Just feel this wherever you're feeling it. Maybe you feel it differently on this side than the other. I'm noticing the other side felt softer. This side feels more effortful. Just want to try and bring a little more ease to this side by really focusing more on the exhales and letting go. What does it change to let go? Does it change where you feel it? Inhale the knees all the way back up, and once again just rock from side to side. Meet back at center. Go ahead and pull the knees into the chest. Give them a hug. You can just rock gently from hip to hip. Maybe even make some circles. Hold on to that right knee. Place the left foot on the floor, knee bent. Open the toes on that right foot and just roll the ankle around in circles. Change direction. We're going to go for half happy baby pose here. You have a couple of choices. You can hook the hand on the back of that right knee, just pulling the knee out wide and sort of just pointing the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. We want to end up with about a 90-degree angle in this right knee. Or you can reach the arm inside the knee, grab onto the ankle if that's accessible, or maybe even grab the pinky toe side of that right foot. Sole of the foot is up towards the ceiling, including the ball mount of this big toe. So don't let the foot turn in and shortening that inner ankle. Keep the foot as though you were standing on it. Press that right shoulder down, press the right hip down. Let the left knee fall to the left. you feel like you need to get a little deeper into that right hip, think about getting that lumbar curve back. So not quite as exaggerated as when we press the belly button up towards the ceiling, but rolling a little bit off the sacrum down towards the tailbone. Take another breath here. And release. Go ahead and pull both knees into the chest again. And you can, once again, just roll around a little bit on that lower back. Just exploring how the body feels. Placing that right foot on the floor, knee bent, open the toes on the left foot, and just roll that left ankle around in circles. Change direction. And then half happy baby pose on this side. And you know, if you have one hip that is a little bit tighter than the other, this side may look different. So again, your options are hooking the hand on the back of the knee and pointing the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling, or reaching the arm inside the knee, grabbing for the ankle, or grabbing for the pinky toe side of that left foot. But we want the sole of the foot flat up towards the ceiling. You can let that right knee fall to the right, and then make any little adjustments that seem to be what your body's calling for. Pressing down the shoulders, pressing down the tailbone perhaps. If you find your knee is really bent, one way to get a little deeper, bring that heel up over the knee. Another breath here. And release. Go ahead and pull both knees into the chest again. And then we're going to go for full happy baby pose. So again, either hooking the hands on the knees, the ankles, or grabbing for the pinky toe. Here, I think we want to have the two sides matching. Finding a little balance there. Soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. And again, the deeper the bend in those knees, the softer the pose will be. The more those heels are lined up over the knees, you might get in a little bit deeper to those hips. Shoulders down, tailbone reaching for the floor. Go ahead and release, pull the knees into the chest. Place the feet down on the floor in line with the hips. Walk those shoulder blades underneath you. All 10 toes are pointed towards the foot end of your mat. Head is going to stay nice and neutral. We want some space at the back of the neck. We don't want to tuck the chin and flatten out the neck. Tuck those elbows in tight towards your waist. Bring a 90-degree angle to those elbows. Palms are facing one another. Spread the fingers wide. Press the backs of the arms down into the floor. Pull in the belly to create a little support, and inhale, lift those hips up. So once you get up here, just take a moment to feel out this alignment. Watch that your knees aren't going out to the sides. They don't also need to be touching. They should be right in line with those hips. Tailbone is reaching for the knees. If you feel a real deep sort of crease in those ankles, you might need to lengthen the stance. Ideally, our heels will be lined up under the knees. I know that's almost impossible to see on your own alignment here, but see if you can't feel that out. We'll take another breath up here, maybe lift the hips a little bit higher. Exhale, release, bring the hips all the way back down. Inhale, lift the hips back up. Exhale, bring the hips back down. We're going to do this a couple more times, and rather than thinking about lifting the pubic bone up towards the ceiling, I want you to think about lifting the outer hips up towards the ceiling. So we're not going to compress that lower back or squeeze those glutes any more than we need to. We want to try and lift these outer hips up. So go ahead and lift. Exhale, release. Lift. Release. One last time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release those hips all the way back down. Once again, open those arms, T, goalposts, or grab opposite elbows and rock the knees from side to side. Go ahead and pull the knees into the chest. Take a nice big breath in. As you exhale, pull your forehead towards your knees, curl up into a little ball. As you inhale, stretch out on the mat, reach the arms alongside the ears, flex the feet, spread the toes, interlace the fingers, reach the palms for the baseboards, like a good morning stretch. Exhale, curl it back up into a little ball. Inhale, stretch it back out again. Exhale, curl it back up. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curl it up, let all that air go. Inhale, stretch out on the mat. And stay here with your exhale. Right hand is going to grab that left wrist. Walk the right leg off to the right. The leg's going to stay extended, and maybe it comes off the mat. That's okay. You just take it as far as your hip will allow, with toes still up towards the ceiling. And then walk the left leg over to meet it. So we're looking for length on the left side of the body here. You can leave the shoulders right where they are, or if you'd like, you can just sort of shimmy the shoulders a little bit to the right. That right hand can lengthen that left arm a little bit more. And then the tiny little tweaks would be pressing those left ribs down towards the floor, pressing the left hip down towards the floor, getting just a smidge more length out of the left side of the body. You can even pick up the head and turn and look to the left. Release back through center. Switch the grip in the hand, so left hand has the right wrist. Walk the left foot off to the left. Again, it may come off your primary mat, it may not. Walk the right foot over to meet it. You may want to shimmy the shoulders just a little bit to the left. That left hand sort of pulls and lengthens that right arm. Flex the feet, spread the toes, press the right hip down, press the right ribs down towards the floor. Maybe pick up the head and turn and look over that right arm. One more breath here. And release back to center. Knees come into the chest again. We're going to just roll on that spine a couple of times. Shoulders to tailbone. Shoulders to tailbone. And eventually we will meet balanced up on our tailbones. You can leave tippy toes down on the floor if you'd like, and those hands are hooked behind the knees. And we'll use those hands to help lift the chest, shoulders back. Float the feet to knee height. Maybe you let go. Maybe you extend the arms and legs, coming into full boat pose. Take Take another breath here. Exhale, release. Come to a comfortable cross-legged position. You may want to grab that pillow or blanket you were working with earlier to bring a little lift underneath the hips. Try not to have heels and toes under opposite calves. Line up one ankle in front of the other. It doesn't mean the knees will definitely get to the floor, but at least they won't be stopped by the opposite foot. Line up shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. And just take a couple of breaths here. Go ahead and bring fingertips down by your sides. Spread the fingers, and it's just a light touch with the fingers. We're not sort of collapsing down towards the floor. Still nice and tall. Reach the left arm up alongside the ear. Walk that right hand out until that left hip gets light, and then press that hip back down into the floor. Once again, bringing a little length into the left side of the body. You have the option to look up under that arm, up towards the ceiling. Next inhale, take a slight opening of the chest up towards the ceiling. So almost a back bend, but it's pretty small. And then as you exhale, you're gonna turn the heart down towards the floor. Reach that left arm across the front of the room, back over to the left side. Inhale it back up and alongside the ear, reaching, sweeping across the front of the room, up and over. So it's all the left arm making these big circles. The right hand stays down. It might move around a little bit. But you make this movement as big or as small as you need it to be. I do recommend moving a little bit slower versus fast. But again, up to you. Next time you find that left arm reaching to the right, pause. Reach the left arm back to the left, shoulder height, palm up. Spread the fingers, pinky side of that hand up towards the ceiling. Turn your gaze down to the right hand. Inhale all the way back up. Bring that left hand down to the floor. Leave the right arm up alongside the ear. Start to walk that left hand out till the right hip gets light. When it does, press that hip back down to the floor and just take a couple of breaths here. Opening up through the right side of the body again. Maybe lifting the gaze. And then when you're ready, the heart starts to round down towards the floor just slightly. We're going to then sweep that right arm across the front of the room, back over to the right, and back up alongside the ear. Sweeping across the front of the room, up alongside the ear, and once again we make circles. You decide the pace, you decide the range of motion. Next time you find that right arm reaching to the left, pause. Reach the right arm back to the right, palm up, thumb down, pinky up. Turn your gaze down to that left hand. Lengthening from the tips of these right fingers through the crown of the head. Inhale all the way back up again. Exhale, twist to the right. Bring the right hand down behind. Left hand can come down onto that right knee or fingertips down on the floor in front. Right hand can be down in front or on that left knee. Spine is long. Slight dip to the chin. Inhale all the way back up. Arms reach up alongside the ears. Start to tilt back. Lift the knees. Uncross the ankles. Maybe tippy toes stay on the floor. Maybe the feet float. Maybe you extend. Another breath here. Exhale, release. Just sit with your eyes closed for a moment. And when you're ready, go ahead and clear your space. We're going to come down onto our belly into Sphinx pose. So hips are going to be down on the floor. Elbows are shoulder distance from one another. And they're underneath the shoulders or in front of them. We don't want to have the elbows back behind the shoulders. So line up those elbows wherever your back needs it today. We want to support the lower back by pressing into the tops of the feet so that your kneecaps are lifted. It's one of the few times in a yoga class you'll hear people say to lock your knees. But we really want to ground the bottom half of the body. Pull in the belly so the tailbone reaches for those heels. Press up away from the floor. You can lift the gaze, but only as far as feels okay to the back of your neck. Heart is reaching forward. Energy of those elbows, without them actually moving, is reaching back. Try and get a little more length through the back of the neck here. One more breath. Press into both hands, lift both elbows just slightly, let the elbows come out to the side. Bring the forehead all the way down onto stacked hands. Bend the knees and wave the feet from side to side. Letting that go. Bring the feet all the way back down. Prop yourself back up on those elbows. We'll stay here a little bit longer this time, so if you found that to be a bit of a strain, consider moving the elbows forward a little bit to soften. Shoulders move back, down away from the ears, charge up the legs, pull in the belly. Apologize, I keep getting a cramp in my foot, so pretend my left foot is not toes under. Turn and look over that right shoulder. Through center, turn and look over the left. Through center, over to the right. Through center, over to the left. Back to center. Press lightly into both hands. Slight extension of those elbows all the way back down onto your belly. Stack one hand on top of the other again. Rest the forehead, bend the knees, and wave the feet from side to side. A light twist is a sort of easy way to reset the spine after the back bends. And one more series like that. So press the tops of the feet down into the floor again. Prop yourself up on those elbows again. Find your proper alignment. Forearms are parallel with one another. Fingers are spread, so these arms are active. You're going to press those wrists down, lift up, pull in the belly, charge up the legs. This time as we turn and look over that right shoulder, press into the right hand and lift that right elbow, but not so much that the right hip leaves the floor. Leave the right hip down. Exhale, release. Press into the left hand, lift that left elbow as high as you can without letting that left hip lift look over that left shoulder. Pull in the belly. And release. Another time off to the right. Turn, look to the right. Extending that right arm. Release. One more time off to the left. Looking to the left. Extending that left arm. Keeping the hip down. And release. And one last time, press into both hands. Lift those elbows. Let the elbows come out to the sides. Rest, give those hips a wiggle. And bend the knees and wave the feet. Really, whatever gives you the best relief. Releasing the feet all the way back down. Press into the hands and push yourself up to tabletop. Line up the wrists under the heads of the shoulders, so not back under your armpits. Really, that's for wrist relief. So if you're feeling any tension in those wrists, walk the hands forward a little bit. Knees are going to line up under those hips. Pull in the belly. Reach that right arm up towards the ceiling. Thread the right arm underneath the left. Head and right shoulder are supported on something. Whether that be the floor or a blanket. Bring that left elbow up high. Come to fingertips on that left hand. As you press those fingertips down, pull that right shoulder back. Pull the left shoulder back, Reach the left hip for the back of the room. Watch that your right foot hasn't wandered off to the left. And then you do have choices here. If you'd like, you can reach that left leg back, toes curled under on the floor. But again, it's about reaching that left hip further back. You can float that leg, just hip height if you want a little balance challenge, but no higher than your hip. That'll start to open things up too much. We want to keep those hips level. And release. Bring that left knee back down if it's lifted, back up to tabletop. Reach that left arm up towards the ceiling and thread the left arm underneath the right. Coming to fingertips on that right hand. As you press those fingertips down, reach that right shoulder back behind you, and then watch that your left foot hasn't wandered to the right. Keep the hips nice and level, reaching that right hip back. Option to reach the right leg back. That actually helps with the reach. Pressing the heel back behind you. You can float that leg if you'd like, but no higher than the hip. We don't want to open that hip to the right. One more breath here. And release. Bring that knee all the way back down. Bring yourself back up to tabletop. Bring the big toes to touch. Separate the knees outer hip distance or further. They can be as wide as your mat if you'd like. Bring the hips to the heels. Pose of the child. Support the forehead on something. Again, it can be the floor, it can be a blanket, it can be stacked hands if you'd like. You can rock a little bit from hip to hip.
Maybe turn the head from right to left and massage the forehead. One more breath here. Curl the toes under. Walk the hands back towards the knees. Lift the knees. And come to a little squat here. Wiggle the feet so that the ball mounts of the big toes are touching. Maybe the heels are touching as well. Walk those hands back underneath you a little bit more. Now you could be, this pose, for as many of us that are trying it, it could feel that many different ways. I'm feeling this a lot in my calves right now. Maybe you're feeling it in your toes or your ankles. If you'd like, you can stay right here or even sink down a little bit deeper into those hips. Or if you want, you can play with balance. Getting those shoulders over the hips and maybe the hands lift to heart center. You take this wherever you need it to be. Take another breath here. If your hands are lifted, bring them back down. Start to extend the legs, lift the hips, straighten out the feet. All 10 toes pointed forward. Soft through those knees. I don't think we've gotten into these hamstrings yet at all. So really soften those knees. Maybe your belly, your ribs even rest on your thighs. And just kind of shimmy the shoulders a little, shake the head around a little bit, let go of the upper back. And give those toes a wiggle. Slide the hands up the shins to just below the knees. Straighten the elbows. Keep those knees soft. Reach your heart for the front end of the mat. Reach your tailbone for the back wall. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Reach your hips back. Reach your shins forward. Exhale, forward fold. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Notice the weight distribution on your feet. Lift and spread the toes. Make sure you have the ball mount of the big toe, ball mount of the pinky toe, and center of the heel equally weighted here. Reach the hips a little further back. Reach the heart a little further forward, long through the back of the neck. Exhale, forward fold. Deepen that bend in the knees. Inhale all the way up. Arms reach up overhead. Exhale, heart center. Just find your Tadasana for a moment. You can leave hands at heart center. You can bring hands down by your sides. If balance will allow, close the eyes and just feel. Feel the weight shift around on the feet a little bit. Notice all the little details. Are the knees locked? We want to keep them a little bit soft. Where's your tailbone pointed? Is it pointed back? Is it pointed under? Try and reach the tailbone for the heels. Long through the front and back of the neck. So think about your ears lifting up away from the shoulders. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Soften those knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Deep bend to those knees. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Deep bend to those knees. Push yourself all the way up. Exhale, heart center. One more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Walk yourself out to plank pose. Bring the right knee, so make sure it's a full expression of plank. Heels of the hands again under the heads of the shoulders. If your wrists are feeling compressed, make sure you give yourself a little more room. Bring that right knee straight down so it's not underneath the hip. The toes stay where they were. Right knee straight down. Step that left foot forward in between the hands. All the way up. May take a couple of steps, that's fine. But the wrists and ankle are in line with one another. Go ahead, walk yourself up that left leg, pull in the belly, pull in the ribs, so back off the bend of that left knee. Reach arms up overhead. Then maybe you can sink back into that left knee, but we're not dropping down into the groin here. Lift. Pelvic floor up towards your belly button. Keep your height. Take another breath here. Exhale, release. Hands come down around that left foot. Roll up on the left heel and extend that left leg. We want that right hip to end up over the right knee. So adjust accordingly. In that long car ride yesterday, this left hip kept getting so uncomfortable. Go ahead and rotate the left leg to the left. Watch that right hip doesn't pop to the right. That'll be its tendency. Keep reaching both hips back. Lift the tailbone. Open the chest. One more breath. Release, soften that front knee. Curl those back toes under. Plank pose. Left knee comes down. Again, it's behind the hip. Leaving the left toes where they were. Step that right foot up in between the hands. So it's probably a little longer stance than you're used to. But think about wrists are underneath the shoulders and that right ankle is in line with those wrists. Go ahead and walk yourself up that right leg. Pull in the belly, pull in the ribs. Right hip back, left hip forward, reach arms up overhead. Get taller here. Try and touch the ceiling. Maybe bend that knee a little bit deeper. Hands come down around that right foot. Roll up on the right heel. Extending the right leg. Left hip lines up over that left knee. Heart stays open. Think about lifting the tailbone up rather than the tailbone coming down. Lift that tailbone up. Maybe rotate those right toes to the right. Watch that the left hip doesn't wander. This is really where it'll try and do that. One more breath. Soften that front knee. Keep those left toes curled under. Step the left foot up to meet the right. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward and down. Inhale all the way up, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, heart center. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half. Exhale, fold. Bend those knees. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, heart. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half. Exhale, plant the hands, step the right foot all the way to the back of the mat till you've got left knee over left ankle, but then left hip in line with left knee. So the thigh is parallel with the floor, not up and off to the side. Watch that you're not on a balance beam here. You're more on a diving board. Bring that right knee straight down. Right hand under that right shoulder, reach the left arm up. Option to reach that left arm for the back of the room and maybe pull, ooh, Charlie horse, pull that right heel in. Don't let that left knee fall to the left. That's a different focus. One more breath. Exhale, release. Right toes curl under, step that right foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward and down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, heart center. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half. Exhale, fold. Bend those knees, inhale up. Exhale, heart. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half. Exhale, fold. Inhale up. Exhale, heart. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, half. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step the left foot all the way back. Far enough back that the right knee is over the right ankle. You're on a diving board, not a balance beam. This right thigh is parallel to the floor, hip in line with knee. Watch that it's not up and out. Probably means you need to lengthen the stance. Bring that left knee straight down. Leave the left hand under the left shoulder. Reach that right arm up. Optional thigh stretch by reaching that right arm back and maybe catching that left foot. Pull that right knee in. One more breath. And release. Left toes curl under. Step that right foot back to plank pose. Rock forward, knees down. Lower slow and controlled all the way down onto your belly. Squeeze those elbows in. Thumbs are at your mid to lower ribs. Press into the tops of the feet. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Go ahead and roll over onto your back. Open your arms to a T or gold pose. But if you're at gold pose, make sure, and it can be somewhere in between, but we want knuckles, wrists, and elbows all to rest comfortably on the floor. So if this is a strain across the shoulders, soften the bend in those elbows until it no longer is. Pick up the hips, set the hips off center to the left. Bring the knees in and over to the right. So this left shoulder, keep that left shoulder down. Need to get a little deeper? Bring those knees a little higher. Need to soften a little bit? Bring those knees a little lower. You find the right twist for you. If you'd like, you can even pick up the head, turn the head to the left, and rest here. That too, only take as far as feels good in your neck, feels comfortable in your neck. Don't need to struggle or strain. Bring the knees all the way back up. Place the feet back down. Sit your hips off center to the right. Bring the knees in and over to the left. Finding the twist that works for your body in this direction. Right shoulder stays grounded. That's pretty much the only thing you need to sort of maintain. Everything else, you can extend the legs, but make it restful. This does not need to be effortful. One more breath here. Bring the knees all the way back up. If there is anything else your body needs before heading to Shavasana, go ahead and address that. If your lower back is hurting, I recommend knees bent, feet walked wide, toes in, heels out, so that the knees can just lightly fall towards one another, creating a little more space at the lower back. Or if your lower back's feeling okay, go ahead and extend the legs, feet still wide, maybe to the edges of your mat. Elbows away from the ribs, whether those elbows are bent and fingertips on your belly or by your sides, palms up, just not higher than your shoulders. Breathe. Just as when we started the class, the same opportunities are here. Inhaling, creating space. Anywhere in your body you may be carrying tension. Exhale, soften into that space. I know for many people, Shavasana is a struggle for their mind. So if the tension you find is in your thoughts, consider inhaling a little space between thoughts. And exhaling, softening into that space. Slowly allow your breath to deepen. And bringing your awareness back to the room and back to your body. Wiggling fingers and toes. Wrists and ankles. Arms and legs. Eventually bending your knees, rolling over to your right side, pausing there for a breath or two until you're ready to press yourself up to a comfortable seated position, eyes closed one more time. So back to what we were talking about a little bit in the beginning, the labeling of things as good or bad. Two people can watch the exact same movie and one think it's good and one think it's bad. It's the thoughts that get us there.
And so I made a concerted effort during this class to not use the words good or bad. And I can remember myself saying the word good at least once. And it's just a practice of awareness. Realizing how many things we do unconsciously and trying to kind of change that up a little bit and make our choices more conscious. So maybe for the next hour or for the day or, geez, for the week, try not to use the words good or bad. Things just are. Or maybe find other words that are more descriptive, more accurate. Maybe a meal isn't necessarily good or bad. Maybe it's satisfying or not satisfying. Things like that. See what happens. Just creating more awareness. Living our lives awake, paying attention to the details. Wishing you peace and joy and love and light. Om Shanti 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 and Namaste.